everybody. Welcome to episode 2 of Community Connections. I'm super thankful to be able to speak with this guest today. She has worked for multiple tech startups before starting one of the tastiest drinks that I've ever had. My girlfriend loves them. All my friends love them. So first of all, thank you for that, for creating that drink. It's unbelievable. And second of all, thank you for your time.
Yeah, my pleasure. I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
To start off, could you mind just telling me like a little bit about yourself and how you got to where you are now?
Oh, wow. Well, I guess just a quick about me is
Yep.
I'm from Vancouver, born and
Yep.
raised in Vancouver and North Shore. And I actually thought I was going to go to post-secondary university for fashion design, which I
Okay.
did actually. I went to Kwantlen to get my degree
For
in
two
fashion
years,
design.
right?
Yeah, for 2 years. Yeah, first
Yeah.
year in their design program, second year in their marketing program,
Okay.
and then decided that that wasn't going to be my career path and ended up going to BCAT in marketing. And long story short, because it is a bit of a long story, started a fashion blog in 2009 that sort of took off a little bit in Canada before, blogging and social media were really very big at all. Like
Okay.
really, it was just, people coming to your website back
Yeah,
in
yeah.
those days. We didn't have Instagram or anything. And parlayed that into marketing jobs in corporate, and then moved on to eventually into what I thought would be a career in finance. Did my CSC. I thought I was going to go into like wealth management or something, or I don't know, some kind of trading position,
Oh,
and
wow.
ended up landing at a fashion technology startup that was trading on the TSXV here in BC. So it's a
Okay.
publicly traded company. So I really sort of cut my teeth on like fintech and being in finance, just through the nature of like the company being publicly traded, and ended up getting to do product design and a whole bunch of crazy things with that brand, and uh and then ended up in tech and really loving fintech especially, and working for a bank in Silicon Valley in California, and as you said, a number of really incredible tech startups. And then on one particular trip to New York, while I was working for a tech startup, I was working remotely, and I was drinking Cosmos in Manhattan.
Yep.
And I just had a bit of a moment where I was like, you know what? Like, why don't these exist? That someone should put a Cosmo in a bottle. This is my favorite drink. It's such a great cocktail.
Yep.
And was just sort of didn't it's sort of like the blessing of you don't know what you don't know, and so had a bit of courage and curiosity to go find out what might happen if I could put this into a bottle, and the rest is history.
So, what actually made you go from fashion to wealth management to beverages? Like, is there any connection there? Have you always, as a kid, sort of
My
thought,
blogs. Yeah.
yeah, okay. So, as a kid,
Yeah.
you have a passion for beverages?
No, I mean, yes and no.
Yeah.
Like yes, in the sense that I love a great cocktail and I have
Mhm.
a deep appreciation for a fine experience, regardless of what that is. I think that a well-curated, stylish experience, those moments in life are what really make every day special. And I
Mhm.
definitely have a deep appreciation for wanting to enjoy, good food and good beverages. And the depth of my experience there really is just having served in restaurants and as a bartender in college, and then yeah, basically just to get myself through school. So I didn't have a deep passion in that industry, or really a deep awareness in that industry.
Mhm.
The connection between going from fashion to finance and then beverages, um, I think more than anything is just a drive to be entrepreneurial and
Mhm.
a really deep interest in like being curious and seeing where I could take my talent, or like what's new and what's going on in sort of whatever industry it's in. I've always loved fashion. I like finance. I invest for myself. Like I enjoy that type of
Yeah.
thing, and I like a fine drink. And so those are just like lifestyle things that sort of came together, and I just started individually like exploring passions. But I say blogs because I never actually finished my degree. I don't have a degree.
Hmm.
All of my career moves I've gotten through having a blog, like, which
Okay.
sounds a bit funny now in 2024. Like, who even talks about blogs?
Yeah.
But like just quickly, truly, I had a fashion blog called Style Struck from 2008 or 9 until 2012, and that got me my first job. I worked for Hudson's Bay actually in their head office. So yeah,
Oh,
over the
wow.
West Coast here. So that got me that job. And then I started a blog called Bergdorf to Bloomberg, so fashion to finance. And that got me my foot in the door and got me the job at the fashion technology that was publicly traded, that startup that I mentioned.
Hmm.
And then I started a blog called The Paper and Coffee, and I really focused pretty heavily on personal finance. I used to host personal finance and investing events. And I also financed on crypto and blockchain because I thought that technology in 2016 was really like cutting edge and really interesting. And that got me my foot into Silicon Valley. So like that's what's taken me to this point. It's pretty,
Yeah, that's unbelievable. And you
yeah,
all started here in Vancouver at BCIT.
yeah.
So you have your marketing management diploma?
Yeah, I mean, I actually never claimed the diploma, but
Okay.
theoretically, yes, I
You're
do.
like, screw that, I don't need it.
I just was always pretty casual about that stuff, I'm gonna be honest.
Okay, that's awesome. So I have a question for you about did you ever face any pushback starting a beverage business, especially as a woman or just as a young entrepreneur?
Yeah, hard yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Um, yeah, I think from there's two sides to that. The first side is the pushback that you receive as a young entrepreneur in the beverage space because the space is pretty old school. And even in this, like, so I've been working in this industry now for 5 years since the conception of Duchess cocktails.
Yep.
And even like in 5 years, so much has changed in the industry. There are so many new upstarts. The RTD, the ready to drink canned cocktail space, we're more of a ready to serve beverage, but within that ready to drink, ready to consume space, there have been so many new entrants. And so the industry has really changed. We're seeing a lot of new people come in who don't have histories. Even just 5 years ago, new products were being created predominantly by big corporations. Like you saw, White Claw come out, that's
Yep.
coming off the heels of like Mike's Hard Lemonade, things like that. So seeing someone come in who has no background in it, who probably doesn't look like she's got capital behind her kind of thing.
Mhm.
I was going to say, I don't think I was taken seriously. I can guarantee you that in those
Mhm.
first couple of meetings, I wasn't taken seriously. I know that for a fact. And then on the other side of it, for sure, there, especially then, so now still, definitely now still, but
Mhm.
most definitely then, there are far fewer women that I was exposed to in the industry. And I definitely felt that I wasn't being taken seriously because I was a woman for sure.
Mhm.
And I actually would bring my then boyfriend, now my husband, but I would bring my then boyfriend into those meetings with me because they just wouldn't take me seriously. And
Mhm.
they would ask him the question. He'd literally just go, "Why don't you ask Olivia?"
Crazy.
I
Yeah, that's
mean,
unbelievable.
people hold strong biases and it's
Yeah.
unfortunate. It's frustrating. And to be candid, even now, like Duchess is obviously a drink that is marketed and designed towards women, but it is for everybody. And we have a lot of male drinkers and male customers.
Yeah.
But it is targeted towards women because there's not much alcohol, many brands in alcohol that are. So there's a
Oh, for
huge
sure.
gap there. So it makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. That's sort of why I was asking the question was because most you go to a liquor store and it feels like everything's sort of marketed toward men, right?
I mean, I think so. I
Yeah,
think
oh,
so.
for
Yeah.
sure. And
I'm gonna
especially
crack
commercials like
a cocktail while we're talking.
yeah, oh yeah, me too. I'll do the same. So you said something there about how much it's actually changing
Hmm.
the industry. So how do you stay innovative and keep up with the trends in the beverage industry?
Well, that's a good question. So I think there's two answers to that. I think staying innovative is about how you push your brand forward and how you develop around what your brand stands for and around your consumer base, your demographic. And then I think there's keeping up with trends and building into trends or developing into trends. We do the former and not the latter.
Mhm.
So right now, trends in the space, obviously like non-alc's a big trend and we have developed one of those, like a strong collection within that like movement. But I
Mhm.
think that's a movement that really suits our demographic and really suits our brand and is here to stay. But in terms of trends, there's like doing larger collections of tequila-based beverages. Like we're just constantly seeing new products come out or new brands come out that are really focused on that side of things.
Mhm.
Um, like if you're looking at like zero sugar, like there's just things that are very like top of mind. Like this is what's really hot right now. This is really hot right now.
Yeah.
I think like while that's great for us, it's more about what is the Duchess brand about? What does that evolution look like from a longer term perspective?
Mhm.
And how are we going to build like long-term loyalty? How do we really connect with our customers? What do we think really makes sense for us? What would we want to drink? Um,
Yeah.
and so we've launched drinks that you don't really see in the market, like French 75 and a Bellini that's not sweet, and 12% ABV in our cocktails. That's like not really done. So
Yeah.
yeah, we're really focused on innovating in our own way.
Yeah, that's awesome. So when we say innovating, is it sort of you making all these ideas, or do you have like how many employees are you guys currently have, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, we are a team of 4 full-time, and we've got a number of contractors who also work with us.
Okay.
Um, we are growing, but we're pretty lean, and we like to
Mhm.
keep things pretty tight in-house. Yes, ideas start with me and my business partner, who's my husband, Layton.
Okay.
They start with us. That's really my like where I shine in my area of the business is the marketing, sales, any of the press community oriented things and product development. So like I am the consumer, I'm the demographic. I know our community so well. I'm friends with them. So that's really where it originates. And then I share it
Yeah,
with the team and get feedback and we go from there.
that's awesome. So it's not there's not a team under you making all the decisions, and you're just the face of the company. You're doing all the work.
Oh my God, no. I mean,
You must be busy.
like one day maybe that will happen, but
Yeah.
no, like, I even had a baby 3 months ago and I'm still very
Oh
in
my
the company.
gosh,
Like we
that's
are, no, we
unbelievable.
we're very hands-on. Um, there isn't I'm not waving a wand and having other folks
Yeah,
execute.
yeah.
Obviously we've helped with broader things that you cannot do yourself, like with sales
Mhm.
and production and things like that. But up till very recently, I was on the production line and
Wow,
very, very hands-on. We built our own factory ourselves. Like this is, we're self-funded. We don't have capital behind us.
wow.
This is a very much a labor of love. We're very proud of every move we make. We're very deliberate.
So you said you built a factory? Is that here in Vancouver?
Yeah, it's an East Van just off
Oh,
Clark.
really?
Mhm.
Wow, so cool. So what's your vision? So you say you have 4 employees now full time. What's your vision, say, in 5 years? How many employees do you think you guys are gonna have?
In 5 years, honestly, like that's a hard question to
Oh,
answer.
of
Because
course.
on one hand, like coming from startups, on one hand, you want to see growth and you want to hire amazing people into every position so that each sort of um, asset or aspect rather of your business can really flourish and grow with the right talented person in that. On
Mm,
the other hand, you want to stay lean and scrappy because that's a lot of where the magic comes from and not like get too sort of oversized as a corporation, that kind of thing. So honestly, it's hard to say. I don't know how many employees, more than what we have now,
yeah,
so
yeah,
that
yeah.
people can really like become like, experts that are sort of deep in their fields of what they're good at.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I think like your product really shows it's all in the product itself, right? Like it tastes great, so people are gonna buy it. It's not you don't need to be doing a bunch of extra work if the product's good and it sells itself. Like it's people are gonna keep coming back and buying it. My girlfriend had it once; she keeps buying it.
Oh, that's
I
awesome.
actually heard
That's
about you
great.
because my girlfriend's mom was. We were at dinner one time and she brought out these drinks, and she was just going off. It's from Vancouver. The girl's amazing.
Oh,
So that's why, yeah, so awesome. And one other thing,
that's so
some other
nice.
questions I have for you.
Yeah, please.
So what advice would you give to other young entrepreneurs? And it could be towards women also, because I know that was a big hurdle for you, but just any young entrepreneur, either in the alcohol business or any business, since you seem pretty diverse.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think I don't think there's a true secret sauce, but I think it always comes down to needing to be it almost sounds a bit cliche, but it's so true. It's like you just have to have a strong passion for whatever you're going towards because you have to be willing to grind it out when it's not fun and when day after day it's not fun and you're dealing with rejection and bad news and issue like mountain after mountain that is just like what
Yeah.
is happening, like some of the stories I have told and I probably don't have enough time to share of like dealing with strikes and not and our can't get bottles and then the liquor strike, you literally cannot sell product for like months at a time,
Yeah.
you're and then so you just have to be willing to just keep climbing those mountains and just keep going. And so the other part of that is persistence, is
Mm.
just it's one foot after the other and not stopping even when the road gets really, really tough, because it will. It always will. And the funny thing is, even if you're like in a 9 to 5, that might seem like this is easier because and I don't mean to say that any one job is easier than another, but when you're in the thick of entrepreneurship, a 9 to 5 can seem easier. Grass is always greener because you're not having to slog it out on your own.
Mhm.
There's always challenges. And so you have to be really fierce in that mindset of, if I'm going to put the time in, the time will pass anyway. Where is that time best spent? Is it in towards my future because I'm building something? Um, and you have to be okay with, obviously with rejection, but with people around you not getting what you're doing. That was hard at first, people
Mhm.
being like, you're leaving the security of what you've built in your, like in the career I'd built up with startups, and I'd got it to a really good place, and leaving that security. Um, yeah, and then, obviously have conviction in your vision. And even like I think vision and conviction is part based on gut instinct of, what's going on in the market, and just feeling really like dead sure about this is the direction I'm going, and I have just like such a deep conviction towards, a deep feeling towards that, but then
Mhm.
also needing to back that up with product market research and understanding where the gap in the market is, what's going to make you different, how are you going to find product market fit, like combining those two things. I think, um, having head and heart together make it a
Yeah,
lot easier to push forward and find that success. But it does take time, right? Like you just have to be willing to grind it out,
for
I think
sure.
is the answer.
So passion, persistence, belief, and product.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and then, yeah. And it's interesting that you say product at the end, because it's like, the hard truth is really that you can do all of those things. And if you don't have the product, then
Yeah.
maybe you're pushing a rock uphill. But
Mhm.
um, I think I always think that a market is never too saturated. There's always room to do something different and better. And so that means that, maybe you have strong passion to push something forward, but the product's not landing, iterate,
Mhm.
because it might take a couple of years, and then you finally land on, oh, this is what needed to be different and this is what it
Yeah.
is. But you had that kernel, like you had that seed that gave you the passion to drive it forward. Um, my one of my best friends, Stephanie, she likes to quote, I think it's a Dale Carnegie book. I might be getting that wrong, but that one particular line about don't stop 4 feet from gold. I
Mhm.
don't know if you're familiar with
No.
that anecdote. Um, but probably better to look it up than me to try to
Yeah.
explain it. But the premise is like, don't stop digging, because the minute, like maybe when you stop digging is when you're 4 feet from the
Yeah.
reward.
Yeah.
You're almost there.
Yeah. That's true. I feel like I feel like also people are almost too analytical on themselves, so they won't even get started. Like getting started is the hardest thing. Um,
100%.
so what was that process like for you getting started? Was it like a big waiting period? Were you thinking, oh, I should do this, I should do this, or was it like, let's go, let's go?
It was let's go, I'm curious. It
Okay.
wasn't so as I said, like I had a good thing going. I created this great little niche for myself in fintech. I was a content marketer working with some really awesome companies. And I wasn't like unhappy. I loved the companies I was working with. I loved the experiences I was having. It was mostly just curiosity. So I think that was pretty great looking back. I didn't put that pressure on myself that I needed to take advantage of this market opportunity in alcohol, or I had this idea and I was just like dying to get it out there. It was really a curiosity. We're flying home from New York. I'm thinking, wouldn't it be great to have a Cosmo in a bottle? And I decide after a few glasses of wine, I have the courage to be like, I should really look into this and start doing
Yep.
product market research. So I got home, did the research. It made sense to me. The LDB, or behind the sort of government organization behind BC Liquor, had put out these reports, and it was talking about how premium was the next wave in RTD. That was exactly what I was thinking about, with a ready to serve bottled beverage that was really focused on brand. It took us a year and a half to find a co-packer who would make it for us, because everyone in the West Coast, or frankly everyone like in Canada, like I called everybody I could possibly think of, Google, um, to see about putting this beverage in, like in the vessel, in the bottle that we had, but they only wanted to produce in beer bottles and cans. So it's just like rejection, 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 rejection. I almost quit twice.
Wow.
Um, so it was just, and it got kind of like depressing at one point. I'm like, I'm a year in, I keep hitting, dead ends. Like, what are we gonna do? And then miraculously, one day, one of my emails got forwarded on to one person, forwarded on to another person, and it ended up being someone who was willing to co-pack for us. So, um, yeah, at that point, I was pretty dead set. Like, this is happening because I've already
Yeah.
invested time and money, and I want to see this through. I had no idea what I was getting into, but.
That's awesome. That's unbelievable. So you knew from the start it was going to work. So from that,
Yeah, I
That New
guess
York,
so.
yeah, from that New York flight, when did you actually like, when did everything get set in stone? It got started. Like how many months, weeks?
So it was June 2019 that I was in New York and did
Okay.
that trip. And it was December 2020, like 1st of December type of thing that we launched.
Oh,
So
wow.
I guess that's about a year and a half.
Which is that relatively quick or long for a beverage company?
Uh, hard to say. I think it's relatively quick to launch a product and a brand. But now I'm seeing brands come up faster than that. So I think it's average, but I think at the time it felt slow, but in like, a year in, and we were like, oh wow, we did that pretty quick. Like actually,
Hmm.
we should be pretty proud of ourselves for what we've been able to
Hmm.
to do here. But now I'm seeing brands spin up faster. Um, but that said, like a lot of the brands I'm seeing come up faster have a lot more capital behind them,
Yeah.
which is great for them. That's awesome. That's a
Probably
great
a
way to
big
go.
team too.
What's that?
Probably a bigger team too.
Yes. Yeah. We were two people. It was really me. And then my like then boyfriend, husband, he
Hmm.
joined and came on full time. And he has an incredible background in operations. So he really excelled in that and still does in that part of the business. So that was a huge help to my marketing, sales, sort of PR background. But yeah, it was a year and a half.
That's awesome. You said something a couple questions ago about strikes and
Oh
government
yeah.
stuff. I wanted to ask you about that actually before the interview. I know I don't actually know personally, but I've heard starting an alcoholic beverage company is super difficult when it comes to legislation and control. So yeah, what was that like?
So interestingly, if you want to build your own factory, your own production facility, yeah, it's crazy challenging. I mean,
Yeah.
I want to preface what I say with the fact that I believe that nothing is really hard. I mean, and I want to preface, actually, I should preface that by saying I'm really talking about entrepreneurship and taking steps forward. I'm not talking about hardships in life when I say that. So it's
Yeah, of course.
contextual. But in this context, you know, hard is just one foot in front of the other. It's just keeping things going. But it was a pretty big challenge to set up your own facility. And that comes with a ton of regulatory burden. So that is hard,
Hmm.
which we ended up doing. Obviously, we have our own factory.
Yep.
But we started with a co-packer. And when you start with a co-packer, it's actually super easy. It's way easier and it costs
Hmm.
quite a lot less than I ever anticipated to start a brand because you are under their license. They are the ones who are dealing with the LDB with the government. So you don't have to do any of that. You just give them your formulation, you give them your packaging, they produce it for you, they give it back to you. You are the one who's then responsible to get it into
Hmm.
stores. You don't actually have to deal with that compliance. They're doing that on your behalf. The minute you set up your own facility the way that we have, you then obviously expose yourself to way more compliance that you have to do. And so that's something that we do now. And yes, that is, it's a
Do you still
lot.
deal with that today? Do you still deal with that kind of stuff?
Yeah, but it's not like a daily thing that's going on. It's just, it's in how you it's built into your ops. It's built into um just like how you produce and the processes and sort of procedures that are put into place. So it's not like a daily burden. It's just part of our operations as a business. So
Okay.
what was once challenging is now just, part of how it goes.
Automatic now for you.
Yeah, yeah, totally, totally. Like, I think that once you get in it and you really understand what's like how it works, it's not that bad. It can seem like a lot from the outside, and especially like the way it's sort of communicated, I think in media and whatever, it seems quite convoluted, and it can be at times,
Hmm.
but it's not that bad.
Okay. Yeah, I've always thought that it's super like it's almost seems like the boogeyman starting, like a booze company. It seems so difficult and almost impossible, but you see major celebrities just do it nonstop and they're always successful.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak to every single celebrity, but
Yep.
probably a lot of them are working with a group that has distribution, like, or you start at the beginning, like product creation, food scientists on staff, marketing on staff, distribution, all the packaging. They will tell you exactly what needs to go on the label. and they get to come in and be part of that creation, that marketing process.
Mm.
But there's this whole engine behind them that's pushing it forward,
Yeah, of
which is very different than going about it yourself. So,
course.
easier to do it at mass scale when you've got that kind of engine and team behind you.
Well, and they have a brand. They can post one picture online and it's sold, right?
Yeah, yeah, totally.
Okay, so you went to BCIT. You didn't actually claim your marketing diploma, but
No.
what key takeaways what key takeaways do you have from BCIT that you actually use in the day-to-day for marketing your business now?
To be totally honest, there isn't like specific things. Like
Okay.
the most um like takeaway, like hard thing that I learned. Well, I learned a lot that was wonderful, but the one thing that I used that was like very specific was how to write a good press release. I had a fantastic PR teacher, and I don't remember her name, but she was wonderful. But I think what I learned was really just how marketing works as a whole and how to develop a broader strategy.
Mm.
I was at BCIT, I guess it was 2009, 2009 to 11, or it's around that time. I can't
Mhm.
remember exactly right now. But media was different and marketing was different then than it is now. But still, it's about telling a story that's going to resonate and understanding your demographic and your market. And that really stuck with me.
So that was the key takeaway for you.
Yeah, it's just like a holistic understanding of if you're gonna, if you're gonna put up this billboard, you're gonna write this press release, if you're gonna talk to like your consumers, you're gonna talk to the market. How are you gonna talk to the market? What are you
Mm.
saying? Crisis communications was a big part of what we learned. Looking at like listeria outbreaks in factories, we understood how do you like talk to your customers and your sort of stakeholders in situations like that. So how to put your best foot forward. I think I think at Duchess, one of our differentiators and what has set us apart, and I appreciate the kind thing that you said about the product sort of speaks for itself, is I like to think we have a deep understanding of what our customers want, but we also understand we couldn't just launch Duchess in a can. Like it was never going to work because there were already so many canned beverages on the shelf, and
Mm.
we didn't have the big marketing budget behind us to push our product. So the product had to speak for itself, and you had to want to pick it up because it was, as like I've got a Bellini next to me. So like, the frosted glass, you can see the liquid, you can see the pretty label, it's eye-catching. All of that had to speak for itself and had to tell a story like right out of the gate. So, and I like to think that it does. So
Oh yeah.
happily credit BCIT with teaching me some of that.
Yeah, that's awesome. So if you could share one super memorable moment or milestone in your career or starting this company, could be anything, even before the company, what would it be?
Oh my gosh. Um, I feel
Your
like there's
most
a
proud
lot.
moment. Yeah.
Um, Okay, so recently BC Business did a full page feature on Duchess in their magazine, and I can't remember now if it was the September issue or the October. I think it was September issues. That was really, really wonderful. I'd been a BC Business reader for 15 years, and I think that was my first, I think maybe
Mm.
feature or piece there. So that was like a really big sort of milestone moment.
Mm.
But seeing Duchess on the shelves for the first time was mind blowing to me. The fact that we'd like developed a product and people actually wanted to sell it and people wanted to buy it
Mhm.
was really, really significant. But I've had been given a lot of wonderful opportunities in my career, and had a lot of moments that have yeah, just like, and to be totally honest, like it's even moments like this, like the fact that you would want to take some time to speak to me, that anyone with a podcast or a platform of any kind would wants to speak to me about my experience is like it means a lot to me, and I appreciate every single opportunity so much. So these types of things, every single time someone like comes, and asks, I'm like I don't mean corny, but like I'm honored. Like
Yeah.
so it these types of things really mean a lot to me.
So that feeling has never gotten old. You're like, oh, leave me alone. I just want to sit at home.
No, no, never. And my mind's I'm drawing blanks. I know I've done like a fair amount of public speaking, and I'm totally drawing blanks right now, but mom brain is a very real thing. Um, but no, it does not get old. people wanting to know what you have to say, I think is something to be very like grateful and respected,
Hmm.
grateful for and to be respectful of and appreciative of. I do not take that lightly.
Hmm.
Um, so I it that no, that definitely does not get old in any way.
Yeah, and like you said, it's sort of it's sort of reversed for me. Like you said, I don't understand why somebody, people want to talk to me, blah, 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 or you feel honored when somebody does. But I think it's like you're exactly who people should be talking to, from especially someone from Vancouver. Like people should be talking to you, asking you how you did it, how things happened. People, I don't understand why people wouldn't want to talk to you.
Hopefully they continue to want to.
Yeah.
But I
Um,
appreciate that. Thank you.
yeah, of course. So I don't want to take too much more of your time. One last question. If there's anything else that you'd like anyone from Vancouver, or like anyone that's going to see this podcast to hear about you, the brand, or want to know, or anything like that, what would it be?
Oh my goodness. Oh, I might need a minute. That's a big question. Well, I think the first thing that comes to mind feels a little bit outdated to me because social media has changed the world so much, particularly in the past 4 years, and in particular because of TikTok
Hmm.
and what that's done for marketing styles and like getting new products out into the world. But going back to um, like uh, maybe like 2017, 2016, 2017, and I was just sort of getting just starting my tech career. Um, I really put everyone in Silicon Valley on such a pedestal. Like I really revered all of the founders that you read about, Jack Dorsey and the
Yeah.
Google guys, and just like put these people on such pedestals. And I just thought of myself as I'm just this little person from Vancouver. Like, what do I have to say? I'm going out there and going to these events and meeting people, and sort of quickly realized like, why do I think I'm less than because I'm from Vancouver, and realize like, I can hold my own easily. Like this is not a problem, and kind of work to let go of that fear kind of thing. And so, when you say like when you're from Vancouver, that's what comes to mind because that was my experience going through that and having to get over this idea of like who am I to have an opinion about these things.
Hmm.
It's different now because it doesn't matter where you're from. It truly does not matter where you're from because you can be a TikTok star, Instagram star, or have a fantastic blog, or just be a great founder from anywhere, and you have a voice. And I think people don't need to be from New York or Silicon Valley or Toronto or whatever, London, to be legitimized the way it kind of felt like you needed to be before. That
Hmm.
that was my perception anyways, working in industries like finance and tech where it had those big
Hmm.
hubs in those places. um, so that's just like a personal thing that I went through, and I'm sure other people, we all have different versions of like imposter syndrome.
For
um,
sure.
and so maybe I'll just like stack onto that with like imposter syndrome is such a waste of time because everyone is doubting themselves no matter how
Hmm.
big they get. And I think that if you have a strong passion for a product, then you should explore it because there's always room to do something different and better, as I said
Hmm.
before. And then to answer your question better, you said, is there anything specific you want people to know about Duchess?
Hmm.
Um, yeah, it's that we're just like a really dedicated homegrown product here in Vancouver, and that we take every move we make really seriously. We're not funded, as I said, and we are super deliberate and really, really like focused and thoughtful about every step that we make. And so I just want people to know that this is a local product and we really care about our community and we really care about our customers and building that up for the long term. And we plan to be of the brand to be around for a really long time. We've really only had the product in market properly for the past year and a half,
Hmm.
just due to, building the factory took, almost 9, 10 months. So that took us out of the market for a while. There was other things going on. So really, we've only had like a small run at the market so far, and it's only been just over a year and a half. So we've got a lot to come ahead of us, and yeah, I really hope people continue to enjoy it and discover it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And not that you guys need it, but I can't vouch any more for your product. Like I actually love it. And I know you said
Thank you.
before it's more for like not more for, but you're marketing toward women. I
Yeah,
I
I
can't
mean,
Me and my friends, we drink it all the time. So
Awesome. No, I mean, we'd love to hear that. Like, we're not trying to only be for
of
one
course.
segment of the market, but there was a gap there. But I was doing a tasting in Maple Ridge, one December. I guess just not this one, but the one previous, and a guy walked up to me, who wouldn't be your stereotypical Duchess drinker, and
Mhm.
he just gotten off work, and he walks up to me and he's like, "I want you to know, I only drink Duchess lemon drops, and I do not share them with anybody." And that was so awesome. It's like, this is not who I would have expected. And I love
Mhm.
that. We also get a lot of our female or women customers who we also do direct to consumers who do e-com as well. And they
Okay.
order Duchess, stock their fridges, and their husbands drink it and don't cop to it. So they go to the fridge to grab their Cosmo, and there's like
That's
one left.
that's so funny.
Which is great, actually. And then just adding on to this, I just remembered, some friends of ours were boating up, I think it was up in Desolation Sound, and they sent us a picture of this guy who I've got Mombrand, I'm not gonna get the name of what he does correct, but essentially like goes and collects like logs off of, like like log booms and the
Yeah,
logs
yeah,
that fall off and they land on beaches. Like,
yeah.
this guy would go and collect those logs and take them back to the mills.
Okay.
And so he's like up there spending a lot of time solo, like doing this job. And he was drinking a Duchess Cosmo. And so they took a photo of this. These like came upon this boat and met him, and they took a photo and they sent it to me. And they're like, "There's Duchess customers all over the place." Like,
That's
that is
unbelievable. That's why
amazing.
you do it, right? That's probably why
I
you do it right there.
love it. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, Olivia, thank you so much. I actually truly, I can't thank you enough for doing this.
Honestly, it's my pleasure.